Hi there, this is Brett from GameByte, and today I'm talking to you about some of the really interesting games that are coming out at the start of 2018. Now, the start of the year is when you normally catch up on all the games you missed out on the year before, but it's becoming more and more common that quite a lot of good games are actually coming out at the start of the year now. What are they? Well, our list is going to break down the big releases of the first few months of 2018, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you like what you see. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition is basically Street Fighter V, but then with added elements of new UI and new modes, including a proper arcade mode. So although people will be thinking, it's not really for me, it is a great addition that makes it more like the older Street Fighter titles, which was a bit of the complaints that people were giving the game when it first came out. The great thing as well is if you already own Street Fighter V, you don't have to pay more to get it. You get it as a free update, which is a great way to keep the fan base happy. Keeping on the beat 'em up theme, you've also then got Dragon Ball FighterZ coming out at the start of the year, a fighting game that takes the Dragon Ball characters and introduces them to that sort of team element you see in the likes of Marvel vs. Capcom. It's going to be one that the fans of the anime are definitely going to want to check out, but if it's a tight enough fighting game, which it's definitely looking like it could be, it could start finding itself a bit of a following in the fighting scene as well. For those of you that like fighting and hunting giant monsters, you're in luck because Monster Hunter World is also out at the start of 2018. Monster Hunter is the return of the Monster Hunter franchise to PlayStation devices, and it's also seeing it turn up on Xbox One. PC gamers are going to have to wait a bit longer to play on it, but for those that have the Xbox or the PlayStation 4, you'll be able to jump in and play either by yourself or with friends, hunting down a variety of monsters of a variety of sizes. There's everything from tiny beasts to giant dragons, and for those that just want to have something a bit different to play with your friends, Monster Hunter World could definitely be worth checking out. For virtual reality fans, the Inpatient touches down at the start of 2018 as well, the prequel to the surprisingly great Until Dawn that came out a couple of years ago. Takes place in the hospital that you see a bit in Until Dawn, obviously at a time when it was actually in use. It's looking really nice and it's looking really creepy, so hopefully it delivers the first good VR horror experience of 2018. If you're a fan of fighting games and Final Fantasy, then you're in luck because Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is also out in 2018 and it's looking lovely. It's an amalgamation of all your favourite Final Fantasy characters just fighting each other and beating the heck out of each other. It looks really nice. We played it in 2017 and had some fun with it, so hopefully it's got even better since then. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, but for those that are fans of fighting games or fans of Final Fantasy, you're probably going to like this one. For those of you that like your fighting games to be a bit less fantastical though, UFC 3 is also coming out in 2018. It's UFC, but with updated rosters and updated graphics and all that. So if you enjoyed the previous UFC games or you're just wanting to get that roster update, then you should definitely be looking into UFC 3. 2018 is also looking like quite a good time for remasters, and Shadow of the Colossus is one of those that's getting released on the PlayStation 4. Unlike the PlayStation 3 remaster, this seems to be completely redoing things, and from the comparison videos that we've seen, it's looking extremely nice. Hopefully it still captures the spirit of what made the original so great. Sometimes it is lost in remasters, but hopefully this remaster does it justice. Medieval games are great fun, and you can see a lot of popular games like The Witcher 3 that take inspiration from medieval times, but what about a medieval game that was just realistic? That's what Kingdom Come Deliverance hopes to deliver. There's a rich story to the game and lots of weapons to play with, each of which will control differently and really absorb you into this medieval world. For those of us that were around when the Super Nintendo was a thing, many of us would have heard of Secret of Mana, a very popular RPG at the time, and now we're getting the chance to play it again with completely reimagined graphics. Some may not be a fan of the new graphic style, but as long as it delivers the same great gameplay as the original, I'm sure many of us will be happy. Metal Gear Survive is an interesting project. With Konami not making as many games anymore and Hideo Kojima walking away from the company, many thought that that was probably the end of Metal Gear Solid, but it's not. Metal Gear Survive is set in an alternate universe to Metal Gear Solid 5, and you're sort of just thrown into this weird zombie-fueled world and you're trying to just survive build a fortress so you're not going to get destroyed by these zombies and just work together. It actually seems like quite an interesting survival game, far more interesting than what initially sounded like a bit of a cash grab should be. Whether it turns out to be decent, we'll find out when it comes out, but we won't have too long to wait because it is due out early in 2018. Yakuza 6 The Song of Life is more Yakuza, and if you've not played Yakuza before, then you're missing out in one of the best gangster stories in video games. The games are ridiculously epic whilst also combined with some of the most hilarious cutscenes around, and the cast of characters are just great. Yakuza 6 promises to be bigger than before and hopefully wrap up the story in a way that will satisfy the long-term fans but also entertain those that are coming into it fresh. If you've ever wanted to sail the seven seas, and Sea of Thieves is probably for you, and we're finally getting it after years of it seeming to be shown off at conferences. You work together as pirates to try and find treasure and just do pirate things for the most part. It looks very silly, it's got a very daft lean, and considering it's being made by Rare, hopefully it's something that's extremely fun to play. Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom is the sequel to, surprisingly, Ni no Kuni. Unlike Ni no Kuni, we don't have Studio Ghibli collaborating to make this, but hopefully that doesn't take anything away from it. The original Ni no Kuni was one of the best JRPGs of last generation, so hopefully this one could become one of the best JRPGs of this generation. A Way Out is a multiplayer game where you have to try and escape prison and work together to just escape these hectic situations. It's an interesting looking game from the team behind Brothers, and it's been getting quite a bit of buzz on the conference circuit. It looks really nice, and Brothers was a really great multiplayer game, and the fact they're saying you can buy the game and play with a friend for free, that's a really good way to sort of encourage people to check it out. Far Cry's back with Far Cry 5, and this time you're trying to destroy a cult leader and his weird army whilst also just being a bit of a badass and flying about in a biplane or teaming up with a dog. There'll be lots to do, and if you're a fan of the Far Cry formula, you're probably going to love Far Cry 5, but if you've never been convinced before, who knows, maybe this is the one for you. For the horror fans out there, Agony has been near the top of many people's most wanted lists for a while, and we're finally going to get to check it out. In it, you're trying to survive in hell against an array of monsters, and it looks intense, it looks terrifying, and it's no doubt going to make you scream more than once. What game are you most looking forward to in early 2018? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to click those like and subscribe buttons. But until next time, I've been Brett from GameByte. You've been wonderful. Goodbye.